Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AF Minicast. I'm the Graphic Gangster. That's Small Arms Danny. That's the commish, Tyler Treadway. And then from the kitchen table, Mr. Cory G.
What's good? What's good? Listen, I'm excited about today's episode because we get a debrief. I'm going to use that word because I think that's fitting. From Small Arms Danny, who we were all rooting for on the lives. And I'm not going to lie, I felt like a dick most of the time because every time I went on the live, Danny was suffering. I was doing something that was comfortable. Smoking a cigar, drinking a beer, and this guy's getting his ass kicked, but he was fucking victorious. And I think we're all proud. Let's give Danny a hand real quick. Hey! All right, Small Arms. Let's talk about, first, for people that don't know what you went to do, because I've had that question a bunch from just like people that know me, like, what was Danny doing again? And like, is he a Navy SEAL now? Like, we don't know what's going on. But what is like GORUCK and GORUCK selection? And then let's talk about your situations just so people have context.
Yeah, so GORUCK, one word, as a company is a gear or backpack rucksack company at its core. So it was started by this guy named Jason McCarthy, who was a Green Beret, and he was a Green Beret. His wife was in the CIA, so they had a very, not your average lifestyle going on, like living in Africa and stuff like that. So like, it's common for people to have a go bag where they would keep basically essential items in like an emergency so they can grab it and go. So he would make these type of bags for his wife if she was, caught in a hairy situation. So he ended up starting to design a backpack, which this one right here is called the GR1, which is kind of their flagship backpack. And he got in his, Ford Expedition and just started going around the country once he had the first prototype, trying to sell them to any and all shops. Didn't have any luck, really much of any at all. So he ended up around San Francisco, and his idea was to basically give people rucks, and then he was going to take them through some sort of physical and mental event.
And rucking's basically trying to mimic like a pack that a military personnel would obviously carry in the field too, right, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, and the weight obviously can vary in that situation, and I guess it all stems back from that with like the military, because rucking is like the foundation. So you need to have a very durable foundation. It all starts there. So he basically distributed these rucksacks to the people doing the event for free. And then he had his camera and he started taking pictures of people in the event doing stuff with the rucks, literally just, taping garden bricks together with duct tape as your weight at the beginning. And that's where he started to get some traction. So that's kind of how it started, the high level view. I was introduced to it from one of my best friends, Joe Musso, who's now a Ranger. And because he did a TUF, I think, which is a 12-hour team event up in Cleveland. And so I did my first one in 2014 when I lived in Chicago, in downtown Chicago, which was pretty awesome. So,
yeah.
And then it kind of just, that was like, I didn't become obsessed with it right away, I guess, because I was pretty heavy into like CrossFit and like Olympic weightlifting and stuff like that. So I would kind of ruck every once in a while, like after I'd finished that first one, but then I kind of came back to it just because it seemed to kind of suit me, because I'm not like, an ultra distance runner or something like that. So I liked having the weight on my back and made me feel like all primal and just put together. So I started to kind of up the ante. So I did more 12-hour events, and then I did my first heavy, which is a 24-hour event in DC, which was amazing. And then it kind of just kept going up from there to my first 48-hour event, which was called Team Assessment. So it's pretty much like the younger brother of selection, which I'll get into selection in a second. But you have a partner, and you're basically assigned tasks throughout 48 hours or 2 days, and to complete those tasks, no matter what. So that was my first exposure into like sleep deprivation and just being so tired. I've never felt like that, falling asleep, standing up and all that good stuff. So and then kind of getting to selection, they kind of call it the anti-GORUCK event, which I think is kind of funny because every event that they hold, and they've held thousands and thousands of events at this point, and this one is the anti-GORUCK event because it's the only one that's not team-based. It's only about the individual. Everything else that they do is all team-based and about building stronger, more cohesive teams. So their kind of like tagline is building better Americans, which I think is pretty awesome. Very because cool. You could show up by yourself, whether it's a class of 7 or a class of 25 or a class of 50, and after the 12 hours, 24 hours, whatever you're doing, all the kind of shared suffering, you walk away a much better person, probably gain a couple of friends, and they could be anywhere in the country or world. So I think that's what kind of initially drew me to it. And then I just kept wanting more. So in 2021, that's when I took my first stab at GORUCK selection, which the Cliff Notes version of what it is, in the special operations world, they have, a bunch of different, specialty schools that you can go to, but you have to go through selection first, which their selection, it's really completely different. So it's like a 21 to 24 day process. So like we obviously didn't have 24 days. So it's compressed into 48 hours. And so they're doing a lot of different other stuff too, obviously with like land navigation, and you obviously would sleep during that, some of that time. But basically they are trying to get you to quit like almost the entire time. Like they're not your friend. They're not doing you any favors. It's all about maintaining the standard. And if you don't meet the standard, then you're basically done, so, that can get a little bit, tricky, especially with like training because you can literally be doing anything. So it's very challenging if you have no experience or exposure into this world because you don't really know how to program for it. So, which was kind of one of my limitations the first time around. So, do you want me to get into like the first time I tried it or?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. Can you talk about, because when was that, 4 years ago?
Yeah.
So can you talk about like your lead up to that, maybe what you were thinking, what you were feeling then, and then, how that event went, and then we'll go to the next one, like this time.
Yeah, like I was saying, I worked up to this event. I didn't just this wasn't my first event, obviously. So I was fairly confident that I could, I'm not used to losing or failing or actually quitting something. Like I don't think that sits right with me and a lot of people. So I was doing my best. I was kind of the lone wolf, training by myself. That was when I lived down in Grandview. So I was doing a lot of rucking, which is obviously kind of a given, but I wasn't being coached by somebody or somebody wasn't programming for me. I consider myself someone capable of suffering, just being in the CrossFit world and doing, shitty workouts with that. But this was this was me being naive. I just didn't know, which I think to some degree is probably a little bit helpful for something like this, to even to be able to show up. But this one was in 2021 down in Bellbrook, Ohio, so outside of Dayton, and which they were traditionally alternating between Ohio and Jacksonville Beach, which is where their headquarters are every other year. And so I just did the Ohio one because it was close by, and that's what I trained up for. So leading up to this one, I was much more focused on the physical. I didn't do much of an intentional effort, probably because I didn't really know exactly what to even do on the mental side. So I just, did the best preparation I was capable of with, getting all my stuff on the packing list situated, and the PT test, making sure I had that squared away with all the things I could control. And then I was just all right, here we go. So I was much more nervous going into that with it being my very first time and not really knowing what to expect. You've seen some stuff on social media, but it's obviously a tiny little glimpse into what you're about to.
Hey, so that first time, were you in fucking shock, Danny?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, just to paint you a little bit of a picture, we, the one in Ohio is at the Founders dad's house. He just has like this epic setup. He lives in the country, but in the backyard, it's a pretty decent sized backyard. He has like a standalone house that has like a shower and bathroom and stuff like that. And then there's like bistro lights, and then like you just basically like find your spot in the backyard. But then there's it's like the infamous hill, like that you would go down this hill, and I don't know, I'm guessing it's maybe a half mile to the creek. So, they utilize that up and down all the time. And then they made that hill a muddy mess on purpose with water in the hose, to make it very challenging to get up. And then, so you had the creek, and then you had the bean field, and then they had a partial trail, but you would basically use the entire field, to do whatever they asked you to do. But so that was like where it took place, but we started at this park to do the admin phase. So it's making sure you had all your stuff, making sure your ruck weighs the right amount. And then it was, once they got through that part, that's when they start to kind of turn the dial on the stress. So that's like what they're trying to do first, is they're trying to make you uncomfortable right out the gate. They're trying to get your heart rate up so you're panicking and stuff. So that's why it's so important to work on the mental side and to be able to, remain composed. And so they'll make you, dump the stuff out of your ruck and then pack it back up, but they'll say like, you're too slow, then you'll dump it out again. So they're playing these games with you there. But, kind of got through that part, got through the PT test, so the push-ups and the sit-ups. And then we actually had to ruck with our ruck and our kit bag. So it's just like an extra bag with our extra stuff, all the way to Jason's dad's house where the event was going to take place, which was about 5 miles. So rucking with that extra bag was, not the most fun. And then once we got there, we pretty much got right into, they call it the welcome party. It's not just like, hey, next up guys, it's the welcome party. It's just like, you just fucking get going pretty much. And then all I remember with that one, it was just like a constant beat down thrashing for, I don't even know, just hours pretty much. So you were like in like small teams, and you were just rotating between cadre, and you're doing different stuff. Some of the stuff I don't even know what the name is, but but you're doing a lot of sandbag stuff. You're doing a lot of lunges. Sometimes you're doing low crawls. You're doing like water PT out in the creek. You could be doing all this stuff. So that's when you're going to start to see people just like voluntary withdrawing. You just see them start to drop like flies. Because
when I saw you lunging on the live, I was like, oh, Danny's got this. He's had to lunge way more than any of these dudes ever have lunged before.
So like, let's in this first one, can you talk about maybe just where your mental state was at? Like, did you feel like you were fluctuating so much? Like it was like, because obviously you weren't like, you didn't know what to expect yet. Like, can you talk about like that?
So I felt pretty rock solid until, so I got through, so it started at 1 p.m. on Thursday, and then I gave my voluntary withdrawal around, I would guess around 8 in the morning the next day or so. So I was like 18 or 19 hours in. So in the very early morning, we had to do this crazy evolution with Cadre JC, this dude from Atlanta. And I was told there were 16 people left. And so we were 8 on this side facing each other. So you have your ruck on, so fully loaded and waterlogged. It had to be about 60 pounds or so. And then each of us had an 80-pound sandbag on our back. And I heard this from the guy who actually finished it on a podcast. That's where I'm getting this from. But because I thought it was shorter, but I guess it was longer. But because I thought it was like an hour, but he said that it was for 90 minutes. The plan was to do one lunge every 10 seconds. So it's not just like lunges with the sandbag on your back, but like we're talking like front rack or like a zerker hold or an overhead. Like you're doing all kinds of dumb shit.
An 80-pound sandbag's so awkward too, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like that doesn't even like get into like, there's different ways to fill the sandbag too. There's like, if you have a single filler bag, so it's like this big, that's much easier versus, I guess sometimes. And then there's ones that have 240s in it. So it kind of like folds a lot around you, which can be kind of annoying when you're doing cleans and stuff like that. So that one, there were 16 people that started, And then this one dude in our class, his name's Chad, this big ass dude. He was probably 6'2", 230, like unit. And it looked like he was maybe like having to try like maybe 50%. So like, and we're all fucking getting cooked just to try to keep up. So like this, going back to like the standard, it was like went from here to here because Chad was fucking winning and we were losing. And so we're doing everything we can. So we went to like survival mode, all of us, you know, because we're like basically dry heaving and
But this dude was just more prepared.
He's just stronger.
He's probably just more suited for this evolution.
Yeah. So we went from 16 to 8. I got through that bullshit. And then we had less than 10 minutes. And then we could see them setting up for the next thing, which was the workout called Chad, which is for
step ups, right?
Yeah. So it's 1,000 step ups. So we swapped the 80 out for a 60-pound sandbag. And then we just were told to start doing step ups. So at this point, you're like, I was like all over the fucking place. Like didn't really have, I felt like that was the first time I didn't feel like I was like really in control. And then your mind, like what that was like really starting to kind of like the self-doubt was really starting to creep in, like whether or not I can do this. And then just like knowing how many fucking step-ups you're doing, you know?
Oh yeah.
Because the only way to tackle that workout is into like bite-sized chunks, which obviously I wasn't successful at doing, but like just from exerting so much on the previous evolution and then going into that. And then I legit was like, after I got through like a few hundred reps and I literally was like blacking out, but like I had the devil and the angel on my shoulder back and forth, like kind of like, you got this. No, you don't, like shit like that. Like it was so weird.
It's probably like, you got this. Don't be a pussy. You got this.
Dude, I'm sitting here and just thinking about that. I can imagine, I can like visualize and feel the pain of fucking the quads going up on the steps.
Oh.
I don't even know. I don't remember if it was, it had to be my legs, obviously, but I think even my lower back too at that point.
Yeah.
You know, it was crazy how difficult those were. But anyway, we went from 8 people on that and everybody dropped except for that one guy. So he was by himself for over 24 hours and then he finished. So, but like, I just remember that feeling because like the cadre will toggle that switch on and off, right? Like dickhead cadre to your best friend. So, after I was done, I was kind of sitting there on the ground and getting my bearings and stuff. And I was just so, disappointed, and, I just like told myself, I'm like, you're never going to fucking forget this one. So that, I kind of just took it off the chin and, and just like tried to like zoom out and really understood like what actually happened once I gave myself some time. Because I knew right away that I wanted to do it again. It wasn't a one and done situation. So, we ended up having, we have 2 kids. So that's kind of like, there was this gap between 2021 to 2025 and the level of time and sacrifice and dedication and shit. I didn't feel like I was going to be able to give it my all, during that like infancy stage. So that's why I didn't go right back at it right away. Just kept training and stuff. And then once 2025 came around, that's when I signed up for a double heavy, which is a 48 hours with a tiny break in the middle. But it was a team event. And then sometime in the summer, GORUCK and the founder made an announcement saying that this was going to be the last year indefinitely for GORUCK selection. And so I was like, well, fuck,
no choice.
So like I was just going to wait for it to come to Ohio, like in 2026, if that was the case. But they made that announcement, so I had to make a decision on what to do. So I talked to my wife or whatever. It was funny. They made the post and we were like going to see that Broadway show Hamilton or whatever. And I didn't even fucking say anything. She's like, well, you're going to do it, right? And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. So
yeah,
I basically got, Linda's blessing right away to like.
When did they make that post to when you started your prep for it, Danny? What was the period of time that you basically prepared for this?
Well, I would say I was like somewhat already preparing for it even prior to the post. I just like turned it up a little bit, like even more pretty much of what I was doing. So with the guy who I was training with, he's out of North Carolina. He actually was in that same class. He was one of the people that dropped on the Chad workout too. So he understands on a deeper level what we were going through physically and mentally and all that stuff. So, and I needed someone to program for me, because it's really easy to program out the fucking duck walks and the low crawls, and the 2 mile farmer's carry and shit like that. Like
being like, well, I don't really want to do bear crawls today. Like it's easier.
So that was like a pretty big game changer for me, to have somebody, start to. So I worked with him, or started working with him, over a year ago. And he has like different like groups on his platform or whatever, to where, this is your, like, the double heavy was what the group I was in, because I was what I was signed up for. But then I just like talked to him, and then he switched me to the other one. So like, as far as the difference, it was just like basically more volume and capacity and suck fest, pretty much.
What do you think the main mental difference was from the first one to the second one? Because obviously, like, your arms aren't small. You've been training for years. Like, the workload that you're willing to put in, I don't think anybody's going to question that. But the difference between staying in and not staying in, it seems like it had to be between here. So what do you think was the main difference there, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, you're kind of training the physical to prolong the mental as long as you can. That's kind of, I feel like, the first step. And then like I was saying before, I never made like a real effort to train myself mentally, really. I mean, I did doing like hard workouts and stuff, but like outside of that, like nothing really, so
fatigue is the ultimate killer of anybody's fucking brain.
For
straight
sure.
up.
So like, just even talking to people like Brian Peters, and then like Dylan, they, they kept talking about, this book called Building the Elite, over and over again. So it's kind of like this textbook, and the whole purpose of it is to help someone finish Special Forces assessment and selection. So I kind of like dove into that, and I went straight to the pain, fatigue, and stressor section. And that's where I began to have a real understanding on like what's actually going on in your head, in your body, when things start to hurt. And like, is it you're actually hurt, or is it just, pain that's going to eventually go away? So being able to like not make an emotional decision like I did in 2021, where I'm like, I probably could have got through it, maybe. But, and then they talk about like never quit something in the middle of an evolution, because you're not thinking all the way right.
That's
like,
yeah.
So I thought that was like pretty good advice. And then I was talking to you yesterday about like the visualization component. That one was like, this was the first time where I actually like really felt like I understood what that even means. Because, ever since I quit the first time, like I literally could like see, and I could picture myself finishing every single time. Like I knew exactly how it was going to play out. I knew who was going to like basically be around there, and then, how it was going to feel. To do that. So like I had that literally like on repeat in my head every single day.
That's one of the things you said to me first because we talked a little bit over text, right? About, you said, I felt like I was on another planet, which I love. And then you mentioned the visualization. And that's one thing that I think gets lost sometimes, kind of out in this like woo-woo type of shit. But specifically, when you're battling something that's easier to give up than it is to continue. And that could really apply to anything. Having that clear vision to that crispy level of like, and being that zoned in on it has contributed to me a ton in my years. But it seems like in this moment, you all the way, like 100% believed it to the point where it was so crispy that helped contribute to you getting all the way through that. So maybe like touch on that. Why like now did that click to the level that maybe it hadn't before? Or did you just not, was it part of the mental stuff and everything just kind of all kind of intermixing? Is it also maybe how important now the other people that you just created, which are the two little girls at your house, how they're going to look at you maybe? Like what, lead me through that like process for you.
Yeah, I think first off, like I just wanted it more this time.
Yeah.
Like I wanted it like super bad, and I felt like, barring some like crazy injury, I was gonna do it. And then, the other thing I was thinking about too, I think you said it or it was in a video or whatever, but when Arnold talks about like eating the piece of pie or something, like nothing's fucking worth it. Or
Nothing tastes as good as being a champion.
There it is. Yeah. Like that was pretty much what I was thinking. But my
True.
version of that was like, I'm going to do everything I can. So like, I'm going to come home and I could say I fucking finished this to Linda and the girls. Like obviously they're 3 and 2, but like, you know what I mean? So like that was like very powerful for me to have in my head, because, they're asking you, I mean, they probably asked at least 8 to 10 times with different cadre, like, how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? What are the chances you think you're going to pass? Like shit like that. They're always asking you like that, whether they actually just want to know or if they're just fucking with you to plant some seeds. So that, because they asked that during the interview, is like kind of like, why are you here? Like, and that, I mean, it's without a question them, because with them being so young, and like, I just want to set this example for them now. And we've already seen it wear off on them when they're in the basement. I mean, we were at Linda's parents, it was the weekend before I left or whatever. And Evelyn's on their fucking assault runner walking, and then she's getting off, and then she's doing burpees, and she's like, Daddy, I'm exercising. Like, like shit like that. I'm like, this is, super cool. So
they do what they see, man.
Yeah. So like that was, super eye-opening for me. And then I'm never going to stop doing that. And then I actually wrote this down, but there was a few more things too, as far as the mental game here.
Please.
So I said the book, David Goggins was another one. I feel like people love or hate him, whatever it is, but his second book, Never Finished, that I read it again a couple months out, and for whatever reason, it made a lot more sense to me this time. But the one concept that really made sense to me this time was his 1 second decision situation, because like, and this type of event was like perfect for something like that, because you're, presented all these challenges mentally and physically over 48 hours. You have every opportunity in the world to say no. It takes one time and you're fucking done. There's no take backs, and that's it. So, that one was always at the top of mind. And then podcast wise, there's only like 34 or 35 people that have ever finished this event ever in over 10 years. So like I, started looking for some of those podcasts to see if they existed out there. So I got to see the difference in their perspectives, with their experience and what challenges they had. That was helpful. And then, working with like Brian Peters. I mean, obviously we all know he's a fucking specimen, so having his input, and he's quite the juice box too. And then just the breath work. I didn't want to catch myself in that position when I'm doing Chad or going through this fucking lunge thing again, where my heart rate is so out of control I can't get it back. And then I'm tapping out. So I wanted to have some sort of a strategy pre and during the event so I could calm myself down, whether I had 3 minutes between something or 10 seconds, whatever it is.
Brian FaceTimed me when I was at the island. We were watching you suffer, and he felt the same way. He's like, I go, bro, I feel like an absolute dick right now. He's like, me too, bro. I was just sitting over there, and I was watching Danny suffer. He's like, I felt, and then I text him randomly because I saw him on the chat, and so that he FaceTimed me, and we were both like fucking basically like saying like how we're soft, and we're watching you get your ass kicked. But he did say that he had talked to you the night before, helped you with some of your breathing before you went to bed, and then also just like in general. And I mean, that's like you just tapping in all resources, bro, which is awesome.
Yeah, I just didn't want to leave anything, unturned as far as strategy goes. And then like really the last one, which this has kind of been a cornerstone for me, is just like stoicism in general. I mean, I still read that stuff every single day, just a page a day situation. But they have this concept called the inner citadel is what they call it. So it's like, whoever can do whatever to you, but like you still always, hold the power in your mind. So like I just was like literally picturing like them, like, I mean, I did this a few times in my training where I'd play like the shark attack, that last thing we did, and they're just fucking, or the welcome part, they're yelling at you and shit. I'd literally put headphones on and listen to that just so I can hear and feel what it feels like and stuff. And then basically train myself to where it just basically doesn't do anything for me. So that was, I guess the only other thing was just doing longer, monotonous workouts that probably you would never pick on your best day.
You really truly calloused your mind to that long duration, only with your thoughts, even just suffering on your own prior to that, because you talked a lot about going out and not having music and not being distracted and those type of things that people don't usually choose, right? And so what I really hear, Danny, is that you just went to a whole nother level of intention, discipline, belief, confidence, persevere. Like you just went to that whole nother stratosphere that it's what you were looking for. I would argue that anybody that takes part in something like this is because they're trying to see what they're made of. And you got a chance to, dude, and there's so many parallels that I was thinking about. Like, you have to, that's why the failing forward thing is so true. You went a little naive the first time and basically gave up, even though you probably could have maybe potentially made it, right? You go and put the real work in, have some life things going on in a good way, but just like some distractions because you're just growing up with a family, right? And then you essentially get forced a timeline that you weren't initially committing to, but you know that that's just what it is. So you put all this around it, and then you don't leave any rock essentially unturned so you can be successful at it. You know what what to expect. You go and execute it to really see what you're really capable of, and you got to see it. And then I think you inspired a ton of people around it because of that execution. And super cool, man. But it's like you're pinging at like that other level that just not a lot of people can even one, they don't even look for it. Two, like that level of presence, and it's like a eerie kind of calm because of all those factors is pretty wild. That in my own way, I think I've experienced in a different way, but I understand what you're saying, and I think it's like really cool.
The eerie calm thing, that kind of was what it was like for me before, because I felt like I'd done so much, and at a certain point you're like, you have to accept that, like, okay, I did everything I could, because like that's like what the day before, that's why like I was just trying to journal and get everything out of my head, because I needed to get everything out, and it actually did help. But knowing all that I did, and just knowing that I did all I could, I knew I was going to be able to make peace with it no matter what happens, pass, fail, if I get injured, whatever it is. But I didn't feel nervous though, really. I mean, maybe, just, normal, like a little bit nervous, like pre-event and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, even just talking to Preston and his girlfriend Savannah, like I was just like, it's like a normal conversation. And then like when Preston dropped me off, I was like, all right, like peace out. See you in fucking 2 days, man.
Yeah.
I was like, and like you kind of get there and you're kind of sizing people up a little bit or whatever. But I never felt like, oh man, that guy looks way fucking more legit than me. Like, I'd never thought that.
In this event, that's almost not even a thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not the size, because you see some of these special forces dudes, some of these dudes, they don't even look that intimidating. A lot. I mean, some of them do, but a lot of it's like.
I also love that too. You have no idea what capable of. Yeah. So, but like, so we, the first thing we did was the admin stuff. So we're at the new GORUCK HQ down there in Jacksonville Beach, in the parking lot right in front of the building, which is a sweet HQ, by the way. And then, same thing. We're just, going through the pack list to make sure you have everything you need, which still blows my mind that people fuck this up. I'm like, it literally tells you black and white what you need to bring. Just bring it, and then you got to pack up your stuff. So probably about half of us packed it up in the time allotted, and then the other people just kept getting extra attention. So, and then basically right after that, they sprayed all of our shit too. The hose was out instantly. So like all the shit in your fucking dry bag was not dry anymore. So I'm like, well, this
like
is
immediately.
Like I had no dry socks the entire time. And And then it went straight into the welcome party. So it was just like they had this lovely corner under the trees that was like kind of like flower bed, but then they just made it a mud pit. And then they had cut a log down from the woods. So we did like log PT. We did a bunch of like, we did the PT test too, which was a sand med ball, clean or burpee med ball sandbag over the head. And then you had hand release push-ups. You had a 1 mile ruck with 100 pounds for time. And then a suitcase carry.
How long did that ruck take you with 100 pounds?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever told us. In training, just around my neighborhood, my fastest was 940.
Okay. That's cooking.
Yeah. That's a whole different endurance for sure.
For sure.
With that stuff when you're running with that. But yeah, so we did that. And then I think 5 people didn't make it out of the parking lot. And then we went out to the beach, which maybe a 10-minute walk. And then we did the 12-mile ruck march, which was the last thing of the PT test. So it's like literally 6 miles out or north and then 6 miles back. So you just basically go until you hit the cap.
Is there people that didn't make it back on the walk?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it was light on the way out and dark on the way back, and for me, there's a couple guys that like literally, they just took the fuck off. And I'm like, I know myself in this type of event, it's not going to be worth it to do that right out the gate. I knew what pace I was not going to beat my feet up and that I could maintain. And it was like it was a good pace. It was like a kind of a ruck shuffle is what we call it. And I went from like 6th and then I caught like 3 people on the way back. So I was like 3rd. I was like totally fine with that. And then that's when we got into like the night shit for the first night. But it really was just like, we did a bunch of, water stuff, whether it's hydro burpees, bear crawls through the water, low crawls, you kind of name it, but it was like one evolution at a time. That was the only thing in my head. Cause once you think about the big picture, that's when you're gonna find yourself in trouble. Thinking about, oh fuck, I probably have about 40 hours left or something. Like that doesn't sound very good, does it?
I feel like they do that on purpose. They're like 22 hours left just to make you think like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
I got to, cause I heard him saying that shit and I was like, damn, they're doing that shit on purpose just to like make you think that there's so much time left. How could I make it?
Yeah.
To make the situation feel bigger than it is. I think I almost think it's better that you didn't make it the first time, Danny. Like the story, like it's almost like that really just mimics life in general, dude. Like most people don't win the Super Bowl their first fucking season. Like, when I went the first time when I thought it was my biggest break and I had no muscles for my cover shoot, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. In the moment though, I thought I'd never get another chance. But I was literally a psychopath after that of visualizing the next time, which there was about a 2-year gap in that period of time, or at least a year, if not 2 years, where I didn't have another chance. And then I finally did. And it was like, I was never the same after that experience. It turned me up like an entirely different psycho. And I think like, if I don't experience that, if I walk in there and Greg Plitt's like, oh dude, you're the next dude to be on the cover with me. I felt like I look worse shape than the fucking people holding the cameras. Like it was so bad. Like it crushed. It really like I really felt like I like messed up my whole career. It was like it felt heavy, and so like if I don't have that, I don't go on that psycho streak of fucking 10 covers and going months at a time not cheat. Like I needed every bit of it, and I think like no one wants to do that when they're going through. And I guess the reason why I'm bringing this up is everyone watching this could be going through a season of that right now, or could have just came off something like that just straight kicked their ass. But if you can like take what Danny just did, how he executed, how he looked at it, how he prepared, how he trained, the mental side and the physical side, and it all came together for then this elite level situation where only 30 some people have ever done it. Like that's what anybody can have their version of that, I guess is my point. And so like that's where I think there's so much value in this whole story, bro. Not just us rooting for you and seeing what just happened, but understanding that 2014 is when you started fucking with this. You're talking about 11 years, bro. Like, and then to, give essentially have to give up, and then to get, dude, that's the story for me. Like that, I love it.
Yeah, and I mean, the event's only going to get harder. Like they made that clear too, and it is common that people don't make it on the first time. They'll come back. I mean, there's somebody that came back 4 times before they got it, you know, or 3 times or 2 times, you know. So it definitely happens, but like it's up to you on if you're going to fix what didn't work, you know. So it was, and another like big change in mentality of you know, this time around versus the first time was, you know, you in my mind, you basically have 2 options. You're going to go in to survive, or you're going to go in and you're going to try to like dominate. And so like those are completely different. Again, so you can go in to just survive the event, or are you going to try to like dominate and like really put out? So, and this is something that they, you know, said to us. I think it was maybe Cadre Hand as the one I remember talking, him saying it to us, but like, they don't want you to like come in and just like try to like skirt and hide under the radar. They want you to like fucking put out, to like honor and respect the people that have gone through this process, which that is like part of the reason why I did in the first place. Cause I have such a respect for these people. And if for me to like give a, you know, fucking 25% effort, like that's just disrespectful in my mind. So like that, I went in with that in mind. Like I want to fucking go at people. So that's, if you saw a lot of the head-to-head stuff when it was just down to me and the other guy, Ben, like that's exactly what was going through my head. So it became the fucking Super Bowl every time we were going at each other, because you didn't want to be the subject of interest or the person getting the extra attention, obviously. And then, you know, kind of if someone's down, like you want to just, you know, put your foot on the gas even more. Of
course.
Right? And that's like nothing against him. It's just like, it's you or me.
It's competition, bro.
Yeah. So,
can you talk about, so you basically were like going to survive the first time, and then the second time you became a killer. But like when we were watching the live stream, dude, you were clearly crushing the other dude. Like you were like over 24 hours into it, and you were just like kept crushing him. But then the cadre kept like messing with you to try to get you to break. So like, what did that feel like when you know you're like dominating this dude and they're just coming at you harder? Like you had to push way harder.
Yeah, well, even especially right after the 12 miler, I could feel my confidence going up for sure. I was getting more confident as the event went on, but yeah, I lost my train of thought.
Cause like there was like the one specific event where he let the other dude, he was doing like bear crawls, and he made you like race around, and you were like dominating him.
That's right. I knew I was winning a lot or whatever, obviously. So like, I'm like, they're not going to let this go on forever. They're going to stack it. They're going to stack it against me at some point. So just be ready for it. So like, yeah, when I had to run longer around when we were going through the grass to do the low crawls and the low crawls on your back and shit like that, I knew that was coming. So I was just kind of expecting it. So I actually was ready. I was ready.
You almost don't want to show off too much, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Dude, the guys, so there was like 6 people that had finished selection before, and they were like shadowing, so they could literally be anywhere and just watch. And afterwards they told me, they were like, man, we fucking love watching this, because it was literally like the Coliseum. That's what it kind of felt like. And you're just, you know, at war with each other, because that one evolution we did where it was like we had to do this bear crawl with the sandbag drags. And then that was like the buy-in or whatever. And then we each had our parking spot, and we had to get our sandbags, all of our sandbags, in the other person's parking spot. So basically it's this max effort, mad dash of trying to get all your shit, and you're carrying 80-pound sandbag or 60 to 80-pound sandbags back and forth at full blow. And I think I beat him on all of those. And but I'm like, I was like, you can't even just let him get a sniff of this. Like, you just got to go. Like, I know it's gonna hurt a little bit, but like you'll be able to rest, because they kept saying it pays to be a winner, right? So they always kept saying that shit. So that was kind of ringing around my head, but I never felt like my focus was like wavering. That's the interesting.
It's what it looked like.
Thing.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like
no
from us.
emotion.
Danny, when you had that sit down where you're trying to eat or whatever, I knew 100% you were going to pass it. Just by the way, just the way that you were looking, dude. You could see, I think every one of us that watched that like video was like, oh, Danny's like I felt like they was gonna have to cut your fucking arm off for you not to pass this thing.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. And like from my perspective, like tuning into the lives, you could see during evolutions where guys who were struggling, you could see it in their face that it was almost like they were hitting their like breaking point. Like it could have been any second where they were just fluctuating so much. But I could tell from watching the live, like you were pushing hard, but your facial expression, like you could just tell you were in control of probably your mind and your body both at the same time. And yeah, whenever they interviewed you and they asked you what's the chances of you passing, and you said I'm gonna pass, like that.
You
was
said
like
10.
Stone cold. Like,
I said, this motherfucker. Hey.
and I think everyone watching that could see
They
it in
believed
your
it.
fucking eyes. And then it was like obviously I'm sitting on my fucking phone watching this, and I'm on the fucking Instagram live comments. But other people, like
They saw
obviously
it.
like we know you.
30's a killer.
But random people were saying 30's fucking locked in. Like 30 has this. And then at one point, the guy, the camera guy who was running the live, he was answering a bunch of questions and stuff like that. But at one point, I think it was right before you guys went into that ditch where they made you crawl and all that shit, he was like, 30 is dominating 18 right now, and 18 knows it, and there's fucking nothing he can do about it. So from my perspective, it was interesting because the cadre knew that you were like still in it, you were dominating. But I thought it was interesting because there was certain times where you were dominating something, so they would make it harder for you to get you to the same point, even though your skill, like you were still up here. I thought that was interesting.
Danny, when you dropped that 10, because I watched, because they put it up right, like I watched it like in the first few views and they put it up. I forget where I was at, someplace very comfortable at the time. I was like, yeah, fucking Danny, fuck yeah, 10. Like I was hyped, and I wasn't with anybody. I was just by myself. But I was fucking pumped when I saw that video because I know like how bad you wanted this, right? And you worked hard for it. And I was like, when I saw that, I was like, dude, that's like psychopath, like fucking level of focus. I was so fucking hyped, dude.
And you could tell like the other two dudes were struggling because like he was an extra dick to you because you went to eat your sandwich and he's like, no, put it down. And then he interviews like the next guy and he's eating and he lets him. And then that dude dropped out. Like you said, he didn't make it after the lunch break.
Yeah, I basically was like, oh, I'll go fuck myself. I guess I'll take my shoes off then.
So just from your perspective, like watching, there was one evolution that, and from my perspective, I could tell that like they were trying to weed everyone out. Like if you made it through this evolution, you were more than probably likely going to finish it. And 18, they kept calling it his kryptonite was the bear crawls.
Yep.
What was in your mind like the kryptonite for you? Like what? Like was it the flutter kicks that they kept attacking you on? Or
yeah, I don't know. Apparently, I suck balls at flutter kicks, according to them.
But he said, when you dropped you did planks, I was dying.
Dude, I was like, I'm like, obviously I did more than just planks, but I'm like,
it's like you're doing yoga.
I'm like blanking right now.
He's like, you fucking planking? How much do we plank?
What I will say is
only the whole time.
Yeah.
The other guys like levers, he was good at. His flutter kicks was like his.
Oh yeah, he was
solid.
Good.
Yeah, the bear crawls, like you can manage those. That he was struggling very hard with those. So I from my perspective, I thought it was interesting how they just kept teetering. Like,
so is that the hardest thing, the flutter kicks for you, Danny?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I like throwing a sandbag around and stuff like that, but at a certain point, that definitely becomes harder. And like the bear crawls, those do fucking suck. We did so many bear crawls.
I hate fucking bear crawls.
Not even just like bear crawl though, but like the bear crawl with the drag.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, you can only do so many fucking bear crawls. So like, I mean, we're all on the beach, halfway in the water, halfway on the sand, and we're literally doing like crawling like a fucking baby would crawl on all fours, and then you kind of put your one leg up and just fucking trying to yank the sand.
And how big is that sandbag when you're throwing it?
6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's people are underestimating how actually strong you have to be to make it through this.
60 pounds dry.
The 60 and the 80s and like the amount of times you move them and the amount of times you're carrying stuff. Like, I was trying to think like the level of overall strength that's required is not something that you've even really talked about a lot. But dude, the endurance is what everybody's thinking about. But dude, to be able to be that strong for that period of time is serious, bro.
Not only strength, but fucking durability.
There you go.
To be
Because I know you were
durable
thinking that, Cole, because that's what I was thinking.
I'm literally watching this, and I'm thinking to myself, my body with the way it is,
Would have fell apart.
I'd have been cooked after fucking the PT test.
Yeah.
Like I would have been cooked. So like to be that durable and like to be good, like it's insane.
It is insane. I agree. Cole, I was thinking that. I was like, man, my shit would have fell apart like 5 hours
Dude,
ago.
I was thinking like I would love to do something like this, but
like a
there's
lot
no
of
way.
that too is like that goes back to all the GPP and shit that I did. Like
For
all
sure.
obviously all the rucking. I mean, it was a minimum of 2 miles each day, up to 12 or 13 miles. So like having that as a foundation alone was huge, and then going between and having a mixture between lunges and weighted lunges and sled walks and sled drags and all that kind of stuff, all that together, really, I believe that held me together and kept me more solid.
For sure.
It's like I basically was married to a sandbag like the entire lead up to this event and hardly used I used a barbell to like squat, bench, and deadlift and shit like that. But like aside from that, it was like you had a sandbag in your hands almost every single day.
You were comfortable with one of the more uncomfortable situations around it, which makes
and
sense.
not only like having the sandbag, but having the ruck on your back too. That's different too. That's not even close to the same thing. The other thing I wanted to say too, because when you're listening to the cadre talk, and if they're stacking it against you on purpose or whatever, I forget where I picked this up to and when I started to kind of apply it, but like, going back to the dominate or survive thing, it's basically you kind of have to go to a sick level of like, making him the fucking enemy.
For sure.
Where it's just like fuck you, dude. Like I don't care what, if I'm gonna have to low crawl for fucking 1,000 yards, or duck walk for 500. Like it doesn't matter. Let's have your fucking worst. It doesn't matter. I'm still gonna be here. So that what almost served as like a a fire that didn't really go out for me. Going.
Clearly.
Yeah. So.
Was there a point like whenever they were giving the other guy a lot of attention, were you thinking it's going to be my turn, and then whenever they got to you, you were almost prepared for it, like you reviewing it as like I'm dominating, so like I like that they're yelling at me type thing? Like was there ever any of that where you kind of knew like, hey, they're doing this on purpose?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
like kind of
you
like
knew it.
picking up on what they're putting down, whatever mind game they're putting down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, and then it makes it more manageable for sure. And you just know you're like they can only do this for so long. It's fine, like whatever. And I can only do this so fast, like based on what I'm physically capable of doing, and I'm not in danger mentally at all. Like just knowing that and be able to separate that, and means that you have the fucking power, honestly, and you don't have to worry about putting yourself in danger of like quitting the event. That never even crossed my mind. Like, it never crossed my mind. Like, oh, I'm gonna be done. Cause like the pain of going back and telling and them knowing that I didn't pass, that trumped everything. Every single time.
Can you walk us through? So for those who didn't watch the live stream, right during the last hour, they started the stream where you guys were touring the HQ. Can you lead us through what were you guys doing right before then, and then whenever you guys were touring the HQ, like the Jason was like kind of being nice, showing you all things like, look at this, isn't this so cool? Like all these patches.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part.
Yeah, can you talk us through like
What
the
is that
lead up
noise?
of you just fucking knew that like you were about to get like hammered with stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we knew we were about to get destroyed because we just came off of the long walk in the middle of the night, and then we were in the park, and they just wanted to keep us moving and stay loose and stuff. And your body's beat to shit. Sand's been fucking in every single crevice on your body the whole time, so you're just massively uncomfortable. But the shark attack's always the last thing, so we just basically knew. And we actually got to swap out the ruck. We had to ground the ruck, and then we put on
No.
super comfortable. And then we did the tour of the HQ or whatever. But he actually, it was kind of funny thinking about, we're standing on the side, and I think they were like taking pictures with it of the weight vest on us or whatever. And Jason's talking to us, and he's like trying to kind of get in our head and stuff. And he's like, there can only be one. and he's like basically saying that we're about to enter the Coliseum and shit like that. And I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
let's go, you know? And yeah, so we went on the inside of the HQ and we saw like all the sewing machines and where they make some of the rucks, fix the rucks, do the embroidery, and then they have this gigantic patch wall, which is fucking epic. Because you could see it's just a representation of how tight knit their community is around the world, which is really cool. I think he was being genuine at that point specifically, but before that he was just fucking off, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was there ever a spot, because even when I was watching, like I think he was being genuine, but he was showing you like where they were sewing the stuff. Like I was waiting for it, like where the fuck are we? What are they about to do with like a sewing machine or something? Like what are they about to get into?
No, I never thought that.
Okay.
No, yeah.
I feel like he was like trying to like be nice, and then the storm was fucking coming type thing. Like
I think
Yeah.
it was. I think it was probably more. Than that.
yeah.
I was waiting to see what it was. I was like, are they gonna make these guys fucking
Yeah.
do some crazy shit where they have to carry a sewing machine? I don't
Oh,
fucking know.
yeah.
Like that's what I was waiting for.
Yeah. And then I saw the sand med balls. I'm like, well, we're doing those again. You know what I mean? So, and then the first part right there, when we did this burpee sand med ball, like over the shoulder stuff. It didn't matter how many we did. He was going to keep fucking with us. So we had to keep going. So like we basically did like over 3 minutes of that movement. At that point in the event, it's pretty awful. But so that it really just became like a task completion part, and what effort you're putting out is what they want to see. And then after that, it's just this constant, barrage of cadre asking or telling you to do different stuff. But I never, it didn't really bother me. I mean, the whole putting the stuff over my head, you guys saw that obviously.
Yep.
My left shoulder was basically not functioning.
It was shut down.
Yeah, it was literally numb. I couldn't feel my left shoulder. It's fine now. I could put it overhead and stuff, but I literally couldn't stay. I could hold stuff over my head. That was one thing I was beating them in too. Is where they were trying to stack it against me. Remember when I was holding the ruck over my head, and I would hold it for 10 extra seconds, and then they'd have him start.
I forgot about the part. I remember that.
Saying who was going to drop first and stuff like that. So I'm clearly they know that I'm capable of doing this, but before the shark attack, a different cadre asked us if we had any injuries.
I saw that,
and I was I don't necessarily am injured. I just can't feel this.
I heard you say, my left shoulder.
Yeah.
And he grabbed it. He didn't make a big deal out of it, but he just noted it.
He asked you that question right after your long ruck, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then because it was right after in the HQ where you guys were doing the burpee toss over your back, whenever he was making you hold the fucking med ball overhead and you would try to get it up there and it would just fucking collapse.
Yep.
It was right after that where he was like, do you have any injuries? And you're like, my fucking shoulder. And then he's like, oh, fuck, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I took my ruck off after the long walk, which I guess we can talk about the long walk in a second.
Sure.
But I had my ruck on for a very long fucking time. So I think what it was I don't know if it was related to my trap. I mean, I guess I can ask, Dylan Seeley or whatever. But when I took it off, I'm like, oh shit, I can't really even when I took my strap off, it was really difficult. Because again, I couldn't feel it or whatever. And I'm like, this is going to come around 1,000% at the HQ after this. And sure enough, it was the first thing we did. They love putting stuff over your head. So obviously I was happy to move on to something else after that. But I was just well, I guess I'm just going to keep shouldering this, this med ball and then kind of put it on my head and trying to, make it.
As long as you keep attempting it, Danny, it's kind of hard for them to tell you you're done, right?
Yeah. I mean, the worst thing I could do would be to kind of stand there with my hands on my hips and then fucking look up at him or something and be that'd be the worst thing you could do.
Or to almost I say, I physically can't, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would have.
It was clear that you couldn't get it up over your head. You were it was cooked.
Yeah.
And so after you tried everything you had, you just kind of moved on, which is also at that point, they're not trying to get you to not finish, right?
Yeah.
They
were fucking with us on the balcony too, because there's basically 3 ways you can, be put out of an event, and it's a voluntary withdrawal. So you quit voluntarily. You have a med drop. They med drop you because they think you're a danger to yourself and others. Or,
effort-based
Yeah,
one.
I guess that's it. Yeah. So, performance drop. So like you're not up to the standard, and you get like a certain number of performance strikes before you're done. And so I had no performance strikes, 0. And so we're doing the, stand up, flip over, sit down, flutter kicks, leg lifts, forward lean, all that shit or whatever. And obviously they were grilling me on the flutter kick shit or whatever. And so he'd say flip over, and then he's fucking marking the fuck out of the red patch or whatever. But I knew that was a total bullshit. Like I was like, that's not real. Like, just keep going, or whatever. So, and then I was pumped when they said the lunge. I'm like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, my legs can do this right now.
Yeah, watching on the live, whenever they said you to lunge, it looked like easy, and I think like there's some people in the comments like paying off.
Oh yeah, all the homies from Cory G Fitness knew what was up.
Paying off.
Yeah. So I was excited to see that pop up. I actually thought I was gonna go on longer, the shark attack. To be honest, I thought we'd at least 15 more minutes of bullshit. So when he was done spraying me right in the eye, I was like, I didn't really know how to react. To be honest, it was so bizarre. But we can circle back to the end or whatever. But like the long walk, which is just what it sounds like, happens on night 2. So like obviously you've been putting out for over 24 hours. And your body's pretty taxed. You're obviously tired, which is just part of it or whatever. So I think we started between 12:30 and 1 a.m. I think.
Yeah, that's right. Because
is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So like pretty much every other year, it's been just that. It's a long walk. You literally it's just you and you just go. You basically just survive. It's task completion. And so this time we had 2 cadre on shift. So there's one out of the car with us. He was in the middle of the road. And then the other one was in a 4Runner up with water, and they'd meet us every once in a while. And so we kind of settle in. We're on opposite sides of the street, and then we stopped the first time to fill up our water, and the cadre in the car was like, oh yeah, by the way, if you fall behind the pace of the cadre, that you can get a performance strike, which we're like, oh cool, all right. So we have to like make a conscious effort to like move quicker, which we found out later was a fucking lie. But obviously you can't assume that.
Yeah.
So every once in a while, every 45 to 60 minutes or whatever it was, they would switch. The dude would go in the car, guy in the car would come out. So they had different strategies, both of them. So the one guy would like kind of be standoffish, kind of let us do our thing. And then the other dude, he was on our fucking heels. Like he was pushing the pace or whatever.
And they're in a car?
No, the guy on foot.
Oh,
the guy,
foot.
the guy who was in the car first, he came out and he was nipping on our heels on purpose to push us, and he tried to go around us. It was funny because we were kind of boxing him out a little bit. It's like, we're not letting you in front of us, dude. Mm-hmm. But he told us later, we went from a 21-minute mile at this point in the event to an 18. So like they told us that their shift was done, the long walk was supposed to be over at 7 a.m. So because we sped up, or cut 3 minutes off our mile, and we maintained that, we had to just keep going. So like after we were done going north, parallel to the beach, we went west, and there's 3 intercoastal bridges, and we basically just went up and over on 2 of the intercoastal bridges over and over and over again. And up to that point, my feet were fine. But then they started another thing they changed too, is they made a couple like competitions within the long walk. So like races. So we literally had to like, those bridges aren't like just flat, right? So they had to go up and over, and it's just like a long, steady incline. And so like for example, we would like go up and over, and then you'd be like, count 6 light poles back and go there and come back, and whoever comes back first wins or whatever. And obviously we had no idea what the repercussions were going to be. So we just, gave your best effort or whatever. So I think I got 3 out of the 4. And then after that, I knew both of our feet were like
wrecked
after that. And you could see it. Like we just were kind of hobbling a little bit after that. Every time we stopped for like 5 minutes or something like that, the first like 3 minutes starting again was like excruciating.
Oh, I bet.
It was just like stepping on a bed of needles every time for the rest of the time. But so we got through that. They told us later during the long walk alone, we did over 30 miles. So like you literally just lose concept of time. And like, I never was playing the game of like, man, is the sun ever going to come up? Like, which that was the one silver lining with all those fucking races and bullshit, was because it kept you focused. So I didn't give me an opportunity to like really, because I was hallucinating a little bit, like, you know, you see stuff or whatever. But it didn't like, I don't know. It kept me being more focused because of those competitions, kept me awake and more in the game. But
I wonder if they know that too, Danny. They probably.
maybe. I
You
don't
know
know
what I
if
mean?
that was like all part of the plan or if they called an audible or what. But all right. So, yeah, I got through the long walk. We ended at a park, you know, beautiful Saturday morning. People playing soccer on the playground, all this stuff. And then we're, you know, hanging out on 2 benches. We actually got like a pretty decent break there. They gave us a Dunkin' Donuts bagel sandwich, which was
I bet that
fucking-
tasted like.
yeah, it was next level. And then they just wanted to keep us moving at that point. It was really just doing kind of like more low impact stuff.
At that point, if you stop, I think it's way worse, right?
Yeah, it was. But we got through that, and then we just did, we basically had to ruck back to the HQ and just through neighborhoods and stuff. So they were just like, which Cadre Hand, he was the cadre that took over. He actually talked to us a decent amount once we got closer, because he basically knew that like we were going to make it or whatever.
Mhm.
Like they weren't like really hiding that, I guess. But he was, you know, just making us more aware. Not that we weren't, but like, just like of the pain you're feeling right now, like you're going to wish for it again. So like, just like take it all in, you know what I mean? Like this is kind of like your time right
The
now.
opposite of what the rest of the world thinks.
Yeah. And then just like what this event means, and then like what happens next. You kind of become like, you know, some sort of ambassador for the GORUCK brand in a way.
Sure.
So like, you know, you do the hardest event, and then you're kind of shepherding people in the community to do this stuff and to do these events and to take part. So, and that's like why their community is so strong. Is like you're building these teams of people, and people like anybody can do it, like, because they have different events for depending on the individual. So, and you're never not going to feel better coming out the other side on one of them. So, but yeah, getting, you know, through the end or whatever was pretty, you know, surreal. Obviously it started to sink in, and they made it like a makeshift sandbag chair for me and pull my shoes and socks off, and my feet were absolutely disgusting. Looked
Amazing.
like hamburger meat. And then, yeah, I just got to, you know, I can't believe how many people I talked to, and people like, and then like one of their people in their warranty department, he like made a custom like sick ass bag for me and stuff, and said like how inspiring it was and all this stuff. I'm like, just like stuff you have no idea.
So cool.
Kind of just blew me away. And like going back to my phone, people I haven't heard from in 5 years, you know, are texting and, you know, saying how awesome it was and all this cool stuff. So
Think about if you make the 1 second decision to quit, how you don't experience that. Like that's the thing that I think about, because that is this, what you're just saying, is on the other side of not making that. Like it's awesome, Danny.
yeah. Yeah, we all just really are way more capable, and this like it just is totally up to the person if they're willing to go there, you know. And it's maybe it's not a 48-hour event or whatever it is, like, but like people just gotta like, you know, step in the arena, you know, and just fucking try, but like not just like half-ass try, but like actually fucking try, because like like you said, you don't know what's on the other side or who you're gonna impact. So yeah, that's pretty much my experience.
It's pretty cool. Cory, you got any other questions?
No, just complete badassery.
Yeah.
Super fucking awesome.
Yeah, insane. You're a fucking machine. Like your facial expression didn't change from
Yeah.
the first live I watched to the last. Like you were a fucking killer the whole
I
time.
feel like whatever you were looking for, you found.
Yeah, I could say so for sure.
There you go.
It's
Take us out.
All right, this has been the AF Minicast Small Arms Edition. I'm the Graphic Gangster. That's Small Arms Danny. That's the Commish Tyler Troy. Mr. Cory G. See you next week.